Do I have the essential? Yes. I know, I look like a clown. I've got a horrible cold and my nose is gross and I will be sneezing probably throughout this video. Hopefully not. Oh, that's this. So happy to hear that. It's gonna be hard. Gross.
2,000 years later.
It was a bit unkind of me to just complain about my red nose and not introduce myself properly. Hi, my name is Eva. Welcome or welcome back. And today I am actually doing the only TBR I will do for this year. Let me know if you missed them in the comments down below by chance. But I've not done any TBR. However, I am doing one for October just because I want to read spooky books in October. And if you're not new to the channel and you're a recurring viewer, you might ask yourself, Eva, have you finished the 12 books you started at the beginning of August very enthusiastically and said you would be done hopefully by the end of the month, and now it's September when I'm filming this? And no, I'm not done with them. I am reading a bunch of fantasy books, but I will pause them for the month of October because I can't stand the idea of spending an October without reading horror. So what I've done is I'm gonna stop everything I'm reading fantasy wise for a month and I am just gonna focus on reading horror throughout the month. So that's why I thought about sharing with you what books I'm planning to read, and if I don't finish them all in October, because as you might have guessed by now, even if you are a new viewer, I tend to have very unrealistic expectations of myself and what I can manage to read actually in a month. So I've got around 10 books, don't quote me on this, but it's around 10 books I want to share with you that I'm going to attempt in October, and those I can't read in October I will carry on in November. But rest assured, I will try my best to finish them by the end of the year, together with the fantasy books I'm in the middle of for the rest of the year. And other books, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't make any promises because I change my mind a lot when it comes to books. But by trying not to sneeze or doing this too much, I'm gonna go through in random order the horrors I've got here. So let's start with a couple of, I would say, classic horror authors, if you want. First of all, I'm gonna read a Stephen King. I would say it's almost like a novella. This is around 200 pages long and it's The Mist, of which there is a movie out that I've never watched. All I know is about this family that on their way to get supplies, they get entrapped in this mist and there are monsters within. I love the cover. I recently hold this and I'm curious to read something quick, in this case by King. I've read already his biggest volumes, apart from The Stand, I believe. I've read It and Pet Sematary and all of those things that were quite chunky, but for this time around I'm just gonna go with a shorter King novel. And then I'm gonna read Dean Koontz' Frankenstein, Prodigal Son. Now the reason why I chose these of all the Koontz books I still have to read on my shelves is because Frankenstein is my favorite classic, together with Dracula, and so I thought that I just wanted to read a retelling of Frankenstein during October because it's a perfect occasion to do so. And no, I'm not going to read Frankenstein in this time around, so I just thought, let me get an alternative. And all I know, this is about this killer who lacks humanity and therefore kills his victims that have sides of humanity that he'd like to acquire himself. And you follow, I don't know if you follow both the killer and the detectives trying to apprehend him, or just the detectives. I'll figure it out. That's what I gathered from the synopsis, but I will give you a better synopsis once I've read it, and I'm sure. Then I will read a very random book, but it's the only non-fiction I have on this list, and it has been on my shelves for ages. It came in one of those boxes of true crime that I could acquire. I did buy the box because it had Helter Skelter inside, and it came with a bunch of books that I never read. So I'm gonna read a very happy, uplifting non-fiction, Cannibals and Evil Cult Killers. This is one of those mass paperbacks from the 80s, I believe. When was this published? I'm actually pretty curious. This is, oh, this is not from the 80s. This is from 2005. I don't know. I thought it was from the 80s. No, it's from 2005, and it's, I believe, a collection of serial killers or crimes that have to do with cannibalism and cults. And yeah, that's all there is to say about it. It's a chunker, but I tend to read non-fiction quite quickly. Some of those names, when I peruse through these, like Dahmer and so on, I'm quite familiar with. Others I won't be. So let's see. I then will read another, what I would consider like almost a classic in the horror genre, and especially in vampire horror. It's Let the Right One In. So this is one that's been on my radar for a long time. I did a fantasy TBR, and this was my fantasy horror pick for that. I know that this is about this boy who lives on this estate. He lives in this kind of dreary housing situation with his mother. He's got a bullying problem. He dreams about his father leaving him, and he has a very rough life at the moment. And then a girl moves in next door to him, and she happens to be a vampire that needs to dine on fresh blood, and they become friends. I don't know anything else. I don't know how horrific this could be, being about children, but I've been surprised before. So I've started to refer to my nose as 50 Shades of Red. Then I will read the Evernight pick that came in a couple of months ago. I believe Evernight are gonna send me another box in October. Depending on how things are, I might add that also on to this TBR, and depends also on what time of the month it comes, because if it comes the last few days, I might not be able to. But they sent me this stunning, I will link the unboxing down below, or edition of The Eyes. The eyes are the best part. And listen, do you need to see anything else? But just in case you need, I will give you a sneak peek of this. I'll show you properly in the unboxing. I believe this is from a Korean author, and it's the story of this young girl. Her father left the family after there was discovered that he was having an affair. So he left the family, and her mother, distraught, she meets this man. I think it's a foreigner man. His name is George, and he starts hanging out with the family, and he's very obnoxious. The girls, our main protagonist and her sister, can't stand him. He's gross and inappropriate, and our main protagonist starts to have these very vivid dreams in where there are these juicy eyes, the same shade of blue of George's eyes, and she decides that they're sending her a message, and she's gonna do something about George and try to get rid of him in their life. That's what I've gathered from the synopsis. I could be completely wrong. This is another relatively short book, and I've got an impression that this is more psychological rather than I would say like a graphic is the wrong term to use, but I think it's more like dreams, scary dreams, and psychological. Maybe probably it's gonna be a bit building up to gory end. We will see. I tend to dislike horror that are purely psychological, unless very specific ones. I tend to like when the horrors are more like actually the ghosts are real, it's not all in your head. But we will see how this goes. And yeah, I don't want to say that it's only psychological, because it might not be. And then I've got The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. I've read The Good House by her, was very impressed with her prose, and so this is the next novel I wanted to read by her, and it's about this boy who ends up, after a fight, being punished by being put in an orphan trophy, reformatory actually. This is during Jim Crow's America. And while he's there, he starts to see ghosts, and these ghosts actually will help him survive this horrific place. Another chunk of a book, but again, her writing is absolutely stunning, and I am actually curious to read these a lot. And The Good House is more like haunted house. This one, I don't know, somehow it calls to me a lot, and I've heard amazing things about this, so looking forward to reading this. The next one, I know a little about it, but this is James Herbert, The Ghost of Leaf. I don't know how you pronounce it, and all I know is about this paranormal investigator. Is he a paranormal? It's a psych investigator who goes into town, this small town, kind of hidden town, and there are very, very creepy things happening, and he has to answer some questions that are questions I've never heard before, such as, can a ghost hunt a ghost? Have you ever thought about that? I didn't. And when I read this, I was like, oh, I want to know the answers to that. Can ancient evil be made manifest? That probably we know that yes, the answer is yes. And can the dead reach out and touch the living? We also know by reading other horrors, so probably that is also yes. But it says that this town will challenge your own sanity, the idea of you being sane. And I hope it's spooky as hell. We will see. So this is not actually a haunted house, it's a haunted town. Looking forward to that. Then I've got The Ruins by Scott Smith. This has been like going all over BookTube when it comes down to horror recommendations. It's about this group of friends. They are in Mexico. One of them gets lost, so they go and look for him. And when they go and find him, instead of him, they come across a Mayan warrior. Like, it looks like an ancient Mayan warrior that forces them to go with him. I believe it's very graphic and horrific, but also people love this, and I want to know why. Also, the premise sounds cool. Then last couple of things I am gonna read. This is haunted house thriller. I'm not sure if it's horror thriller, but Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and never read anything by him. And this is gonna be my first one, and this is about this girl who had an experience in the past with her family of going to this house and having to leave this house because it was haunted. And at the time, though, she doesn't realize this is happening, so her parents whisks her away. They leave the house, and her father ends up writing actually a bestseller about their experience in the house. But she does not really recollect anything of the time. She does not think her father is actually telling the truth, so she decides to go back in the house and finding out for herself. And I hope again that all hell breaks loose in these. I mean, honestly, I would never go back to a haunted house. I mean, I don't care if I don't remember. I would think there is a reason why my brain is shutting off memories. I would no, going back. But let's see how it ends. I guess it won't end well. And the last one is by probably this is one of the one that I'm the most excited about, just because I loved another book by this author. So the author is Adam Neville, and the book is The Ritual. And this is about this bunch of friends that decided to have a reunion by going on an excursion in Scandinavia, I believe, the Arctic Cycle, Scandinavian wilderness. And they've not seen each other in a long time. Their lives have taken different twists and turns, but they decided to go one more time on a journey together. And here it says they should have gone to Vegas, because while they are traveling across this wilderness and there is absolutely nothing, no human, what they do happen to find is a cabin. And in this cabin there are signs of pagan rituals, and there is potentially a monster in the woods. Yes, they probably should have gone to Vegas. That wouldn't have happened. Maybe something else equally dreadful might have happened in Vegas. We don't know, but yeah, pagan rituals, a monster, and his prose. Sign me up. Let me know what you're gonna read this Halloween. I had so many books I wanted to purchase and read, and then realized I had quite a few on my shelves already that I need to go through. One thing I definitely want to do more next year, spoiler alert, is reading more horror. I've read a lot of fantasy this year, but not much horror. So want to remedy that a bit in October and catching up with a few titles on my shelves. If you're new, I would love for you to subscribe. I promise I don't always look like a reindeer with a red nose. Hopefully I will exhaust the kind of illnesses I can catch and finally feel completely back to myself in the next few weeks. Lovely catching up with you. I would love to chat in the comments down below if you want to leave a comment and say hi. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Ciao.